Hi everyone, I hope you all are great. Today we will have commas. First, you have to log in using the aplusstudent.com. Click on any move on to language at the grade 8 chapters, commas. Lesson will be commas with series, dates, and places, commas with compound and complex sentences. Okay, so we use comma to separate three or more items in a series. So you have to put a comma after each item in the list except for the last. So if you have a series, you have to put commas in each of them except the last. The last comma in the list right before the coordinating conjunction is called an Oxford comma or serial comma. The serial comma is sometimes considered optional, but most styles guides demand it. So for example, we have red, white, and blue. As you can see, all of them have commas except for the last, which is blue. The colors of the American flag. Expression that consists of pairs of words such as thunder and lightning and bread and butter are generally treated as single items. So college costs typically include tuition, room and board, and textbook. As you can see that if you have expressions that consist of pair words, they are treated as one. So you do not put comma in between them. And then when it comes to dates, in dates with a day and a year, use a comma after the day. Also use a comma after the year unless the date ends the sentence. So we have the day which is January 1, 2001. So we put a comma after the day which is 1. So as you can see there's more sentence, so we add a comma after the year which is 2001 was the first day of this century. And then Mahatma Gandhi was born on October 2, 1869. So as you can see over here, we put the comma after the day and we don't put a comma after the year because that is the end of the sentence. So we also have when the name of a city is used, the name of its state or country, use the comma after the city. Also use the comma after the state or country unless it ends the sentence. So Chicago, Illinois is known as the Windy City. So in between the city and the country, we put a comma, right? And we also put a comma after Illinois because it has more sentences attached to it. Okay. We have just booked our flight to Athens, Greece. So as you can see, we just put a comma after the city because we don't need to put a comma after the end of grace because it's ending the sentence. All right, so that's it. Let's move on to the examples. So we have correct the text by inserting two commas. So we have Sir Malcolm Campbell set a land speed record on September 3, 1935 when he drove more than 300 miles per hour. So as you can see, we need to have a comma after the day and year. Put a comma after 3 and after the year. So we are putting a comma after the year because it still has more sentences. Okay? Harriet Tubman, a former slave who led more than 300 people to freedom through the Underground Railroad, is buried in Auburn, New York. So just one comma, it has to be in between the state or city and country. So after 4 years, 21 pairs of shoes are more than 40,000 miles. American David Cross became the first person to cycle the world on foot on October 5. 1974. So as you can see, we're going to put a comma in between the day and the year. Okay, so let's go to the test and you can share your answers with me. So, we have insert the text, correct the text by inserting one comma. So we just need to add one comma here. So Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, the classic story featuring Ebenezer Scrooge, was published on December 17, 1843. So is it first or second? Okay, so we have the first one. So we insert two commas here. In 1900, Carrie Nation, an anti-alcohol crusader, attacked a bar in Wichita, Kansas, and wound up in jail. First or second? Okay, so we have the first in between, you put a comma in between the city, the country, okay? The Georgia Aquarium in Atlanta, Georgia requires more than 8 million gallons of water for its animals habitats. So yeah, let's see. Is it the first or second one? Okay, so we have the first one. So we are putting like the comma in between the city and the country. To shoot successful nature photos, Olivia recommended using natural light, a tripod, and the camera's manual mode. So is it gonna be the first or the second one? Okay, so we have the first. Now, on October 30, 1964, the United States' first massive anti Vietnam War demonstration took place at the University of California. Is it going to be first or second? Okay, so we have the first. Okay. So Harriet Tubman, a former slave who led more than 300 people to freedom through the Underground Railroad, is buried in Auburn, New York, first to second. Okay, so we have Auburn, New York. So Samuel Khan Campbell set a land speed record on September 3, 1935, when he drove more than 300 miles per hour, first to second. Okay, so we have the first one. After 4 years, 21 pairs of shoes and more than 14,000 miles, American David Coase became the first person to circle the world on foot on October 5, 1974, first to second. Okay, so we have the first one. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Complete this if you haven't done it, okay? All right, so this is a complex sentence. All right, let's start from the explanation. All right, so in a compound sentence, you have to use a comma before the coordinating conjunction that joins the two independent clauses. That is the and, but, also. Those are the examples of the coordinating conjunctions. And then also we saw a flash of lightning, and seconds later we had the rumble of thunder. Okay, so and then in a complex sentence, we have if a dependent clause comes before an independent clause, you have to use a comma after the dependent clause. Now, the dependent clauses, we have some examples. Usually, they start with the subordinating conjunction, which are after, although, as, before, if, because, since, unless, until, when, or while. So if she gets the chance, Sarah would love to visit the Egyptian pyramids. So as you can see, it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So it's a dependent clause. And of course, you need to have a comma after that. Okay. So let's look at some example. It says to so it says inside one comma, while First Lady Michelle Obama was visiting Beijing in March 2014, she toured the Forbidden City, which served as the emperor's home for almost 500 years. So as you can see here, it says it starts with while. So of course, it's starting with the subordinating conjunction. Okay, so we will we'll put a comma after the first dependent clause. Okay. Okay, let's see some more examples. So, shall I pick up a birthday cake at the grocery store, or would you like to try making one? Would you like to try making one ourselves? So, these have a coordinating conjunction. So, we need to have a comma before the coordinating conjunction. So, the comma will be what here before all. So, we have to insert one comma here. Arvind Mahan Kali finished third in the 2011 and 2012 Script National Spelling Bee competition, and he finished first in 2013. First or second? So we have what the first or second. So we have the first one because it has a coordinating conjunction and we need to put a comma. So if Ellie is named a finalist in the Bake Off, she will win a trip to Nashville and a chance at the $1 million grand prize. First or second. Okay, so we have what? The first one. Because it starts with if, so it has a subordinating conjunction. Okay, so Tom may take up coaching after he retires from basketball, or he might simply spend more time with his family. So is it gonna be the first or the second? Okay, so we have first because this is a coordinating conjunction. So yeah, because the city was experiencing dangerously low temperatures, officials warned residents to stay inside. So first or second. Okay, so it will be the first because this is subordinating conjunction because. Should visitors to our national parks be able to use their phones freely, or should phones use be restricted? First to second. All right, so we have the first because this is a coordinating conjunction or. So yeah, a young pigeon escaped from the zoo. So zoo officials have launched a search party for it. Is it the first or the second? Okay, so we have the first coordinating conjunction. Okay, that's it for our lesson today on the commas. Can you tell me if you have any questions? Alright, since we have no questions, we'll end here. Try to complete this lesson if you haven't done it. See you next time. Bye, everyone.